Again, I'd like to underline, to point out the importance of this paper. Bacterial endocarditis has been seen as a contraindication for valve repair. We do think that it is exactly the contrary. The chance for the patient to be cured for his infection is superior when you use techniques of valve reconstruction than when you replace the valve with any type of prosthesis. It is very surprising that in most instances something can be done, and Dr. Fan was right to underline that you should try to avoid foreign material at the level of the cord. And this is what I just like to say, and I thank him for his presentation, which was very good.
My biggest concern is the use of autologous pericardium. Industry has actually spent a lot of money and a lot of research in preparing pericardium. And all of a sudden we are using autologous pericardium, and all that we do is to preserve it with glutaraldehyde. And therefore the long-term results are not going to be there. We are beginning to see it. Edward actually did ask me if they should continue producing bovine pericardium. My answer to that is yes, you should continue to produce bovine pericardium and to encourage the use of bovine pericardium if you're going to use it long term. Is there a place for autologous pericardium? Yes, there is. I think that what Professor Caponte mentioned just now is important when you're dealing with acute bacterial endocarditis. The principle is do not use foreign bodies, no matter what it is. And therefore, if you're using autologous pericardium, you're using it as a bridge to subsequent operations. So you're saving the patient, and when the pericardium breaks down, go ahead and replace that valve or re-repair the valve, because you are now having a bridge to a procedure. And the same sort of approach I'm talking to patients, to cardiologists and surgeons when they are talking about TAVI. One of the indications for TAVI is a bridge to conventional surgery. If you're a very, very high-risk patient, you put in a TAVI valve to make the patient a better risk for conventional surgery. And that's my comment.
Regarding the microstenosis of the mitral valve tank, I think you show that in the right case. Does the choice of the ring has an impact on that?
This is a very interesting question. And okay, Dr. Fung and me already spent more than 25 years with rheumatic valve repair here. And many people said that, we put a ring, especially when we put a very small ring, we have a risk of wrist stenosis in the future. Is it right? That's right. But not for everybody. So we can say that all of the patients here really do after 20 years that we already perform micro repair in microstenosis before with the ring or without the ring. The main cause of reoperation here is a micro regurgitation, more than microstenosis. Of course, microstenosis still presented about 20%, but you agree with me. So the question here is that the patient go back by micro regurgitation, and we found out that subvalvular, the valve tissue, continue to be sick, right? And the microstenosis, real microstenosis, just happen about 20%. So don't too much worry that we have a restenosis of mitral one day for the reoperation. If you do a very good repair, if you have very good valve ring size, like Dr. Carpentier said, it's very, I think it's all right. I think it's right. Just one thing, I have mentioned, I have some concern on valve repair in congenital patients, especially for the young patient that Sunji discussed with me many times, that we still resisted to use the ring, the very small ring in the young children, less than 6 kilograms of weight, when we repair the valve. Do we need the ring or not? Sometimes we obligate to use the ring. Very small ring, 18, 20, 22, like Dr. Jung just told us, because we have no choice. Sometimes you have very big, very large annulus. For young children, 6 kilograms of weight, but the annulus 38, 40, very small anterior leaflet like my tip of finger. In such case, how can we repair? Posterior annuloplasty, not enough. So it almost, even we extend the anterior leaflet, we can increase maximum to 20 ring only. So in such cases, we obligate to use the ring. And what happened in the future, I can't answer you right now because we have more than 50 years follow-up. We start to redo the patient that we use very small ring in the past. The ring, I mean 18, 20, 22, and now we redo the patient. Dr. Jung just told us one example of this. You remove the ring, okay, the annulus extend. You can extend the leaflet because the leaflet is still good. The problem here is just, because the ring not developed at the same time to the growing of the patient, because the ring already stuck the annulus. But when you take out the annulus after 15 years, the leaflet tissue is still good, subvalvular is still good. The problem here is just the small size of the ring. It's just you just extend the leaflet, and sometimes you can put the 26 ring. 26 ring is good for the Vietnamese people. Maybe not good for the Western people, but 26, I'm still happy with the lady, 40 kilograms of weight. So that's my point. Not only for rheumatic, but also for the other thing.
Mr. Chairman, we have the chance to have with us one of the best pediatric cardiac surgeons, Dr. Brizard. So I would like to take advantage of his presence to make a few comments on what has been said, not only this morning, but particularly on the two most difficult aspects. So Christian, talk to us in Australia.
Melbourne, we have a particular position because we cater also for the Aboriginal population. The Aboriginal population is the highest incidence in the world for rheumatic heart disease. So we have access to congenital patients, but also to severe rheumatic patients. So I can talk about my experience either here in Vietnam or in Paris when we were catering for North African patients or in rheumatic patients in Australia. What is quite specific is I think we can make a difference between patients that are still active rheumatic disease, which are every pediatric patient up to 15 or 18-year-old. All of these patients have a underlying inflammatory process that is not controlled. And then the patients that are over 20-year-old, where the inflammatory process and the scarring process is completely stabilized. So you can have a long-term outcome vary a lot whether you operate before or after this night. I agree that we need to put a ring in every time, and we enlarge the anterior leaflet, the posterior leaflet, to have a 30mm ring at least. In response to Professor from Singapore, I work very closely with industry, and we try very hard to have a material that is available off the shelf and has a better long-term outcome than the autologous pericardium treated in the operating room. We think we are achieving that progressively, but I have done extensive research and placed this new material in animals. We had outstanding results in animals, and long-term outcome in animals were really outstanding with zero calcification. So in terms of calcification, the industry now achieved very good results. But in terms of functional results of pericardial patch in very small kids, we're not there yet. The scarring process of these patches is not ideal, and we're not very different than an autologous pericardium. In terms of animaloplasty in very small children, there is the particularity of the Heart Institute here is that we have access at the Heart Institute to rings that are smaller than 24. This is not true for the rest of the world. In congenital valves, you need to put some sort of animaloplasty, but in patients that are 6 months old or less, you very rarely have the ability to put a ring that is 24. Even 1 year old or less, you cannot put a ring that is less than 24. So you have to have a stabilization of the postannulus, and we've tried many different ways. The best and the better long-term result is one strip from commissure to commissure, and using the free edge of the anterior as a guideline for the postannuloplasty. And in terms of endocarditis, what we insist, and that I've learned in Brussels with Professor Carpentier, is that what we insist is that even if you choose to have a treatment for 6 weeks, if you do have a germ and you can treat the patient for 6 weeks, you need to have very careful echo follow-up of the valve at the early stage, because these lesions can be extremely evolving and become very destructive very rapidly, and you either operate earlier than later. And I'm quite impressive on the endocarditis.
I think the other issue that we face quite a bit is really nowadays is the ischemic mitral regurgitation. So maybe Dr. Carpentier, you want to comment what is the right thing to do for ischemic mitral regurgitation?
I have a no magic solution. It is, of course, the most difficult situation as far as valve disease is concerned. The reason is because the ischemic mitral regurgitation is not a valve disease, it's mainly a myocardial disease. And so one has to use all the techniques and which are known. I have an experience with the core cap, the core cap, and it is sad that this technique has been abandoned. It was developed by one of my pupils, Dr. Acker, from the United States, and we had surprisingly good results. So I hope that one day or another we will be able to revive this technique, which for those who are not aware of it, is just using support of the left ventricle. Time to describe it, but it seems to me that the future of treatment of ischemic mitral regurgitation is, of course, to operate as early as possible and to have a complete application to some sort of plastic. But it seems to me that the main important is the fact that we go as early as possible. We combine with full revascularization to 5 bypasses if necessary. And then we will see one day or another whether whether it's on cell therapy, but it's all about itself. Something to investigate, research laboratory. Anyway, you can see it's very difficult, a lot of difficulty to answer because these topic is very sorry
Thank you. I think time is catching on. Should we proceed to the next?
Yes, I think we should proceed to
Yeah, which is also that session. Still.
It's very close to the landscape process. So maybe now we move to the Professor Carpentier project. And up to now it's almost 50 years already. So we can say that Professor Carpentier is one of the father of valve surgery in the whole world. He has a lot of study, not only on valve, but also for the other pathology. And we would like to invite him today and give us the honor lecture. Some days ago I sent to him a mail to ask about the topic of the talk you will present today. And he said that you talked too much about mitral valve already. So now I would like to talk about the other thing. The other thing here that not many people pay attention on in the past many years. The thing here is still a question, not only for us, but also for the cardiologists. The thing is I just back from Baltimore, US for ACATS. They still have some very strong discussion on this topic. That is, somebody called this a forgotten valve. I do not totally agree with this. We do attention to the tricuspid valve, but maybe we do not pay attention enough. So Dr. Carpentier today, he will tell us what he thinks about tricuspid valve. Professor Carpentier, please.
Dr. Fan, the tricuspid valve has been called the forgotten valve or the unknown valve, referring to Alexis Carrel's book, The Man, the Unknown. I would add a third word to clarify the tricuspid valve, the mysterious valve. And this is a concept I'm going to develop for you for the first time, by the way, because I got the idea in the plane. And the reason I will show you why the tricuspid valve is mysterious, much more mysterious than the mitral valve or the aortic valve. So we're going to try to approach these. So of course it is a challenge, and I'm going to talk about this challenge. someone to move the slides or to show me how to move it? Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. So what is known and not a mystery is the anatomy. The anatomy of the tricuspid valve is well known, and we have to begin by discussing or rediscussing the anatomy. The tricuspid valve is different than the mitral valve due to the fact that, number one, there is not a continuous annulus. It is a segmented annulus. There are different segments as opposed to the mitral valve. That's number one. And number two, it's composed of different tissues. There is not a specific tissue that we could call the tricuspid annulus. There is a specific tissue for the mitral valve, which is called the mitral annulus. But again, I repeat because I think it's important that there is not a well-defined structure for the tricuspid valve. So there are, next slide. I'm going to do everything myself. Okay. That's the physiology, and I want to have the anatomy again. The anatomy, and that's the physiology. Yeah, no, that's the anatomy. That's the as far as the anatomy is concerned, everybody here knows that there are three leaflets. The reason of this term tricuspid. Actually, there are not three leaflets but four leaflets in most instances, because the posterior leaflet is very often, presents very often two segments and not only one segment. So you have to keep these in mind because it may have some consequences. So that's number one. Number two, as I already said, the annulus is not a very well-defined structure. It is a segmented structure, and particularly at this level, there is not a continuity between the annulus of the anterior leaflet and the so-called annulus of the septal leaflet. And this is, at this level, that the bundle of His crosses not the annulus, because we just said that there is no annulus, but at least the area representing the annulus. What about physiology? The physiology of the tricuspid valve is very, very complex. Very complex, but just like the mitral valve, it's important to recognize the different axis of the valve. And between diastole, shown here, and systole, shown here, there is, of course, a difference with the dimensions reduced during systole. But more important, and something which is not very well known, is that the fact that during systole there is an axial torsion of the closure line as indicated by this green arrow. And this is extremely important because it does show, and we will see that afterwards, it does show that fixing the tricuspid valve is more difficult than fixing, securing the mitral valve. So let's see a little bit more about physiology. Here I represented the motion of the anterior leaflet, and here is the flow through through the tricuspid valve at the anterior leaflet, and I've indicated here. So this is the flow corresponding to this deformation or this movement of the anterior leaflet. And as you can see, this flow is very curious. This is something which is not very well known. There are actually two waves, one bigger than the second one. Each first wave corresponding to the opening corresponds to the opening of the anterior leaflet, as indicated here, and it carries the maximum flow during the opening of the tricuspid valve. But what about the second wave? The second wave is due to the fact to an additional flow through the tricuspid valve, an additional flow which is due to the contraction of the atrium, not due to the tricuspid valve itself, but due to the contraction of the atrium, which complete the flow through the tricuspid valve. What about the valve pathology? No surprise that valve pathology is similar to what we see at the level of the mitral valve. You have a different degree of traumatic valve disease with the same characteristic lesions, that is to say, puncture, fusion, leaflet thickening, correlations thickening. Nothing surprising at the level of the tricuspid. Is there only any other comments to be made? Yes. The functional is for us something explaining why this tricuspid valve orifice, the tricuspid valve, should be called the unknown or the mysterious valve. The functional tricuspid regurgitation is what is mysterious. Nobody understands what is the tricuspid insufficiency due to so-called functional regurgitation. We'll see that later. But before going further on the functional one, just I'd like to mention, of course, the content of the malformation, the H-time malformation, not being the only one malformation at the level but we don't have time to discuss the control malformation. What about tricuspid valve dilations resulting from these different causes we just mentioned? Just like the mitral valve, there are lesions at the level of the annulus, at the level of the leaflets, at the level of the punctures, muscle, etc. And I'm not going to elaborate on that because I would repeat what has been said, what is known as the level of the mitral valve. Of course, the functional classification is key in tricuspid regurgitation, particularly at the level of the annular dilation. The functional classification is what should be used as a guideline for you in terms of the way to understand the mechanism, but also the way to guide your repair. So now we approach the mystery. So be careful, don't talk, stay with me. It's a little bit complex, even for me, I don't understand. I will try to do it together. Number one, it is known that the isolated tricuspid regurgitation does exist. It does exist. I mean, a tricuspid regurgitation is not always secondary to a mitral valve regurgitation or the aortic valve regurgitation, although it is true that it is very often associated with, but it's not obligatory. And this is interesting. So, these isolated tricuspid regurgitation, we're going to concentrate on that for the moment. Number one, asymptomatic patient with isolated tricuspid regurgitation developed severe failure, ventricular failure within 10 years. But the occurrence of these ventricular failure takes years to develop. Let me try to be as clear as possible, because I know that I am not. Number one, you may have a patient in whom you have repaired the mitral valve. Okay? You know that there is an associated regurgitation because this has been documented by echocardiography. This patient may be totally asymptomatic and may develop symptoms within 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. So in other words, you operate a patient with a rheumatic mitral valve disease, then you are very, very proud because the mitral reconstruction is perfect. There is no regurgitation, no residual regurgitation. However, the same patient is doing very well for a year. However, 10 years later, the same patient can come with a severe tricuspid regurgitation, although he has not, he still has his mitral valve repair still competent. I'm not sure I am clear enough, but I'm going to repeat, because this is seen more and more frequently. In other words, a patient with a mitral valve regurgitation, very well corrected by valve reconstruction. The repair, the mitral valve repair is stable, lasts years and years and years. So you are very happy. And then after 7 years or even more than that, he developed tricuspid regurgitation, true tricuspid regurgitation, although the mitral valve still functions normally. I know that I may seem very surprising, but that's true. Now it is documented with a group of all the surgeons around. Keep this in mind, because this is why I think we could call the tricuspid valve regurgitation a mysterious valve. Nobody knows why. After 10 years, this guy who has a normal mitral valve, a mitral valve which has been repaired, why this patient develops severe tricuspid. Severe to the point that he's going to die from the tricuspid valve. Don't miss my point. That's a new disease, but a very severe one. The prognosis is very bad. So keep this what I say in mind, even though it may seem very surprising. And of course, for the moment, the only mechanism which could make sense is the fact that there is an impairment of the right ventricle. And this is probably the door which is open to this poor outcome. Severe and large. If it is the case, then after mitral valve reconstruction, you must follow very carefully the tricuspid valve, particularly the right ventricle, so as to see whether progressive tricuspid right ventricular failure is taking place. So, now in this patient, we're talking about a patient with a tricuspid valve regurgitation. But before, I'd like to talk about a patient with a tricuspid valve regurgitation following the mitral valve reconstruction, the good mitral valve reconstruction. This patient is operated for his mitral valve regurgitation. And what should you do, knowing that the tricuspid valve is a mysterious valve? What you have to do is to open the right atrium and to have a look. Palpation shouldn't be used. That's the old technique of trying to evaluate tricuspid valve function. It's not reliable. Don't trust on palpation. What you have to do is to have a look on the. So any patient, for me, any patient with a severe mitral valve regurgitation should, even who seems not to have any impairment of the tricuspid valve, every patient should have his right atrium open, so as to be able to inspect intraoperatively the tricuspid. Here you have another pleasing word: inspect. Respect or Dr. Carpentier doesn't respect anything. He has to respect, but here I propose to inspect, to feel more sophisticated. So what you have to do is, I repeat, intraoperative inspection, and then let's assume that you discover organic lesions. even small lesions, leaflet thickening or slight commissure fusion, slight degree of commissure fusion, you do have organic lesion. If you do have organic lesion, you don't need to shake your head. You just say, okay, I should reconstruct that. I should usually put a ring or maybe treat the organic lesions, by the way, using all the techniques which have been discussed this morning. Other alternative, there is no organic lesion, no visible organic lesions. What you should do, and this is you have to measure the orifice area with sizer, with a technique I am going to teach you now. Measure the orifice area with sizers. So in other words, we don't look for a regurgitation. We do look for a dilatation, even without regurgitation. That's a different paradigm. And so measure the orifice area with sizer and measure the surface area of leaflet tissue attached to the anterior papillary. This is what I like to teach you. Next slide, I'm going to show you how to do it. No, that's not what I want. Yes. What you have to do for ring selection, because you have decided to operate the tricuspid valve of this particular patient, although he has no tricuspid regurgitation. Follow me. So, this particular patient said, well, something has to be done. And what you have to do is to select a ring. To select a ring and to select a ring, you have to use this formula that I designed, which is the tricuspid orifice area versus the leaflet surface area. The leaflet surface area is a little bit complex. It is the surface area of the anterior leaflet plus the posterior leaflet, developed by a nerve hook passed along the caudate, attaching the anterior leaflet and the posterior leaflet. I'm going to repeat myself because I like for you to stay with me. I repeat this formula, which is done for ring selection when you have decided to operate the tricuspid valve, although there is no tricuspid regurgitation. This formula is using two materials: the total orifice, surface orifice of the anterior and posterior leaflet versus the total orifice area. Just keep in mind this formula. This is the way we select a ring. Now, my colleague and friend, Dr. Dreyfus, has more or less developed a technique a little bit similar, although I think it's not as good. Sorry to say that. But anyway, it is a useful technique, and you certainly know this technique. He uses the fact that he has to measuring the dilatation of the areas. And second, use when he has this changing a little bit, but when he has a 7 centimeter dimension, when he develops the anterior leaflet, when he pushes the anterior annulus at this level, using this measure device, then decide to correct the dilatation or to correct tricuspid insufficiency using the ring. This is another way of. Sorry, it's not going to be very long because I'm on stage. It doesn't work. Yeah, that's the echocardiographic view. This is a slide which has been given to me by Gilles Bergers, and as you can see, it's a little bit sophisticated because he uses 3 different means. Anyway, let's finish the talk and talk about you have selected the ring, you have selected the size of the ring. Of course, you are going to use a remodeling annuloplasty ring, and then what you have to do is just implant this ring with interrupted sutures, making sure, and you know, of course, this technique very well. So I'm not going to describe that. This is the final result. You recognize once again is a gap here at the level of the penetration of the ballon of pierce within the orifice. Those are the additional techniques which are used when there are organic tricuspid dysfunctions. But today I wanted to point out the functional. Now, what about the long-term results? The long-term results of the different techniques, because between the remodeling annuloplasty, we could discuss other alternatives, either tricuspid valve prosthesis, which has been proposed by some people, or the circular annuloplasty, so-called Vega, the Vega annuloplasty, and of course the remodeling ring annuloplasty. It is obviously obvious that the valve repair is superior to valve replacement, but the reoperation after valve replacement, 5.9% per patient here in our series of 313 cases compared years ago. So there is no place for tricuspid valve prosthesis if there is some tissue left. What about circular annuloplasty versus remodeling annuloplasty? Because the Vega technique is an appealing technique because it's simple and it does require or need a ring. However, the results are not at all the same. With a remodeling annuloplasty ring, you have a 0.6% of the patient here re-operation, as opposed to 4.6% of the patient here with the bigger annuloplasty. So we still do use the circular annuloplasty, but even in moderate situation we don't use it anymore because of what I just said regarding the mysterious tricuspid. Knowing that the simple dilatation of the tricuspid orifice may be followed by a severe tricuspid insufficiency after a certain year. We shouldn't use anymore the circular annuloplasty. I think that's probably the conclusion, preliminary conclusion. That's the first time I showed them to a distinguished group of surgeons. Since tricuspid regurgitation is associated with a decreased long-term survival, this has been demonstrated, particularly by the Mayo Clinic group. Since regression of tricuspid regurgitation is unpredictable after surgical treatment of mitral and aortic valve disease, not only is a regression, but the progression, the development, the evolution is unpredictable. Well, that's why I said to mysterious tricuspid valve. It could be called the unpredictable. That would be a nice term too. Since regression of tricuspid regurgitation is unpredictable, and since valve reconstruction is associated with excellent results, this is what has been demonstrated. A remodeling annuloplasty should be performed. Pay attention to what I'm going to say now. Should be performed whenever the annulus is dilated, even in the absence of regurgitation. This is very new, and we owe some recognition to Gilles Dreyfus, who also emphasized this point. I repeat that the only sentence you should keep in mind before leaving this room, a remodeling annuloplasty should be performed whenever the annulus is dilated, and even in the absence of regurgitation. This is a revolution. It has to be confirmed at the beginning, but that's the conclusion of the mysterious tricuspid valve orifice. Thank you very much.
They already teachers for very, very long time. The time we come to Vietnam, of course, not very often. A few times per year before, but now this time we met Professor Quoc Te. We always learn a new thing from you. So we're very appreciative, but we are ready.
Thank you very much.
And we hope that we still learn from you for many, many years before.
Probably not everything.
Thank you very much for this. Does everyone here have this book? I'm Okay, now I think that we still have one session to do morning, but it's already lunchtime. So I propose that we move to the lunch room now. So there are 3 lunch rooms. So for the previous guest speaker, we have the room 1. The other previous guest speaker, we also have the room 2. And all of the new move to the canteen.
Carpentier Edwards Paramount Durability Estimator app. The objective of this app is to work as a guide to assist clinicians in the estimated performance and potential complications related to the Carpentier Edwards Paramount valve related to the age of the patient, in order for decisions to be made based on best patient outcomes. From our beginning, beginnings in the 60s, where while it was teamed up with Dr. Albert Starr, the objective was to produce a device that would replace a patient's sick heart valve. Edwards began a long-term relationship with the great Professor Carpentier to continue developing solutions to improve best patient outcomes. By looking for solutions to free patients from relying on anticoagulation therapy for the rest of their lives, through developing the porcine bioprosthetic valves, surgical rings, and anti-calcification therapies. And further developing tissue linkage for bovine pericardium to improve long-term durability, hemodynamics, and address the calcification processes. Edwards Life Sciences continue to strive for best patient outcomes by investing strongly in research and development, producing new products and processes. The Carpentier Edwards Paramount valve is a reliable valve based on its materials, its design, and its anti-calcification process. The bovine pericardium is mathematically mapped, and 3 individual leaflets are die-cut for a precise fit. The tissues tested and matched the thickness and elasticity. The larger the valve, the thicker the leaflets. A flexible alloy stent is an alloy of cobalt and nickel, and its superior spring efficiency absorbs the stress of valve closure, maintaining long-term low gradients and stable hemodynamics. The stent thickness is also graduated over the size of the valve. Our leaflets are mounted underneath the stent. This is to minimize the functional stress points and transfer the stress from the leaflets into the stent. Our Thermofix anti-calcification treatment was developed in collaboration with Professor Carpentier and his wife Sophia. Now, this is the only anti-calcification treatment that removes both calcium binding sites through residual alcohol extraction and phospholipid extraction. All of these features are unique to the Carpentier Edwards Paramount valve, and they contribute to our proven long-term durability and low gradients and stable hemodynamics, which have been documented in multiple studies. So today, I'd like to bring this particular study to your attention because it focuses on the long-term outcomes of the Carpentier Edwards Paramount valve in the AFib and mitral conditions, specifically related to the patient's age. The statistics from this 2 billion study were the foundation of the app that's been produced here. So the Paramount Durability and Performance Estimator app is found on the Apple App Store or Google Play if you have an Android, and it is free to clinicians. Once you've downloaded the app, you simply type the patient's name and age into the starting page. The estimator will show you the probable outcomes of three major criteria: structural valve deterioration, bleeding and reoperation. Now you can share a summary with your patients or colleagues via the email function, and the app offers clinicians guidelines on heart valve surgeries and the latest updates on ACC and AHA guidelines. This app is honest according to the data collected by Teresa Vignon and his colleagues. It's a free tool offered to you by Life Sciences to assist you to achieve best patient outcomes. So if you would like this app, this is how you go about it. If you have an iPhone, you get onto your Apple Store. If you have an Android, you go onto Google Play and type in the word Paramount. Once you've found it, you can download this onto your phone, select your language of choice, and press the Get Started button. You can read and accept the terms of service. For the first time only, we require that you put in your name, your hospital, your email address, and the password. The reason for this is a tool that's been designed to assist clinicians when consulting with patients for best possible outcomes. And we think it should remain in the hands of the clinicians. I'll just give you a demonstration on how to use it now.
You finish?
When you go into the app, you can select either aortic valve or mitral valve. Now this study was based on 2,659 patients receiving the Paramount valve in the aortic position over 20 years, but only 404 patients receiving the Paramount valve in the mitral position over 25 years. The data is a lot more in-depth in the aortic position than it is in the mitral position. So you can select what you would like to know to tell the patient. Dial up the age. Select aortic or mitral. Select structural valve deterioration. So for a 66-year-old patient, the probability of structural valve deterioration in 10 years' time is 3.5%. Based on the data from the Together study. You can go to your summary and it will give you the percentages from structural valve deterioration, reoperation from mobility. You can share this via the sharing button, the email function. Just type in the email address. Comes up with the disclaimer at the start. This is an estimator, not a calculator. Thank you. If there's any questions.
All right, thank you very much, Lindy. And I think we will have a lot of questions for you, but now we have the last time now. So thank you very much, and enjoy your lunch. Bon appetit. we have Dr. Tusha, and we have Dr. Suji Seno, and also Dr. Chin Wong. And all of these operations are already recorded. After that, we edit the surgery, the operation, or a short video clip. So each patient just about 3 minutes video clip already, yesterday we did. And so my guy told Dr. Nghĩa, now we will present the case. He will present the case in 2 or 3 minutes. Then we show the video clip that we did yesterday. And then we go to the discussion. Okay. So, for the first patient, this is a P2 prolapse repair. And the first technique we do is the resection of the P2. So Dr. Fan Ki-Fung already performed this case, but unfortunately Dr. Fung already left to take care of the Kap Hong Chie. So I would like to invite Dr. Chu Cha. Please come here, because I just asked him that he did a lot of P2 resection. So please come to start. Okay, please. All right, now Dr. Nghĩa, can you show the case first?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I now would like to present the first case. The first case is a female patient. She's still single, 44 years old. She's 160 centimeters of height. And 60 kilogram. She's a merchandiser. She lives in the province. And we also did operation 2 weeks ago. History, her heart disease was found 1 month ago with palpitation and shortness of breath. She consulted Ho Chi Minh Heart Institute for diagnosis and treatment. I can hear a pansystolic murmur, 3/6 apex radiant acilar, no syncope, no jaundice. On chest X-ray, RCT 0.5, ECG sinus rhythm, frequency is 80 beats per minute, laboratory is normal. On echocardiogram, the annulus is 36, anterior mitral leaflet 25, posterior leaflet 19.3. The movement of the valve is still good, and posterior leaflet is normal. But for posterior leaflets, we found a prolapse of P2. For subvalvular apparatus, the Quoc-Te for anterior leaflets is normal, but for posterior leaflets at P2, there's an elongation of Quoc-Te. We have the measurement is here 28 millimeter. Left atrium is 52, left ventricle 57/37. The vena contractile of the chest of the regurgitation is 5.8 mm. And also an oblique check to the septum. Normal PAPS, good. Right ventricle ejection fraction is 63%. The aortic valve and tricuspid valve are normal. So the diagnosis for this patient is mitral regurgitation 4/4, tattoo P2 by elongation of the Quoc-Te, heart function class 1.
All right, for this patient, we decide to resect the posterior leaflet. So this video shows you how to resect the P2. First of all, I prefer to perform the ring suture first. The ring suture, we go from the anterior leaflet to the posterior leaflet. You can see that actually when I repair mitral valve, I don't like to take the valve tissue with the pickup. I just use the hook, pull the leaflet, and then I do the ring suture. I try to avoid to use the pickup to take the valve tissue because your instrument can damage the valve tissue. So now I call this is a no-touch technique. Try not to touch the valve as much as possible to preserve, to protect the quality of the leaflet, especially for the rheumatic valve. So after all of ring annulus of annular suture, we will resect the posterior leaflet. First of all, we localize the prolapse segment. Can I have a quantity, please? By 250, we pass the 50 around the normal leaflet, just adjacent to the prolapse. So this is the reference point. Now we resect granular resect of the B2. So my resection a little bit oblique, not like Dr. Carpentier book, granular. So we got this in yeah, okay. So that with this we can economy the suture duplication of the annulus. With Carpentier technique, we need at least 3 to 4 plication suture. But with this technique, we can reduce to 1 or 2 suture to plicate the annulus only. For this patient, I need 2. Then we will close the leaflet with another 50. So the junction between the annulus and the valve tissue is very important. We need to close completely this area, because if there's small hole here, you will have the risk of hemolysis. So that the first point is a figure 8 points at the junction between annulus and the valve. Then we can continue with the other separate interrupted suture. All right, now we select the ring. This is Desjardins valve. So I use the Physio 2 ring, number 30. So the suture will pass through the ring. And then we slide ring down. We test. And you see we have a very good result. So this technique we already perform more than 25 years, and it's still very very often do in our center. So before you ask a question on this technique, I would like to ask Dr. Chuchat, because I know that Dr. Chuchat he also do a lot of B2 prolapse repair, both technique resection and preserve. So first question, what do you think about the resection technique for the posterior prolapse?
Well, for this case, I really think that do the resection is good. I mean, because you get the excessive disease tissue out, and then I think it will be get a competent repair by the reference point by the normal cord from both sides. I think just in that case it is good, but the other options might be available as well with putting a new cord in. If the not much excessive tissue or the tissue leaflet is not too strong, if it thin.
Okay, so you decide to preserve or not preserve the valve based on how much of prolapse tissue, or you based on the quality of the prolapse tissue?
I think both.
You think both?
Both.
So in your practice, how many percent you preserve the valve and how many percent you resect the valve for posterior?
Well, I try to preserve probably 50-50. I try to preserve just not too much and not too little.
Okay. How about you, Peter?
Yeah, I have another idea. In my opinion, first of all, I look at the annulus. That annulus is big or annulus is small or normal size. If the annulus is big, we have the choice of the reduction. And the second point is depend on the field segment that Richard mentioned already. If the field segment is big, we have the choice. We can resect the field segment. Another point is the field height of the field segment. If it's longer than 2.5 centimeters, either technique of reduction or preserve, you have to reduce the height of the field segment. Otherwise, we might face another problem of sand after when we finish the dilation.
Okay, any question or comment from the floor? So, okay, can I ask a question to everybody? How many of you resect the valve for P2 resection? Can you show your hand? So many, right? How many of you preserve the valve? I do both. Okay, right, not bad. All right, I think, I like to ask the question because up to now we still have some controversial discussion on this. Somebody go too much aggressive on the technique. But one thing I would like to say is that for the resection technique, Kapong-J already did very long time, and for our experience, we already spent 25 years with this. And Kapong-J experience said that, well, after 10 years, they have 98% of the patients do not need reoperation. And after 20 years, 96% of the patients do not need reoperation with resection technique, right? So that if we want to move on to the other thing, the most important is the long-term result. The long-term result should be as good as what we have done before, right? I hope you and you do agree with me. Okay, any question? If not, we move to the other technique. All right. For the second, thank you, Dr. Jusa. All right, for the second technique, I would like to invite Professor Chan Yong-Ling from National Heart Center. We also talk about the same story, P2 prolapse, but now we have another thing to do. No, not resect. We preserve the valve. And Dr. Chan Yong-Ling, maybe before present the case, I just ask you a question. How many percent you preserve? How many percent you resect the valve?
I think early on when we started, we always resected. And then after that, we did a lot of contact transfer.
All right.
But recently, most cases are doing
preserve. Okay. So Dr. Nghĩa, please show the file for the patient.
Yes. The next patient is a male patient, 50 years old. He's a teacher, 165 centimeters of height, 58 kilograms. He lives in Kamo province. This case was operated yesterday. His heart disease was found 3 months ago with palpitation and shortness of breath. And then he followed up here regularly. His heart disease also was known since 14 years ago. 14 years old by acute rheumatic polyarthritis with 2 weeks of treatment, and then he stopped of treatment for the arthritis. On the physical examination, it found a pansystolic murmur 3/6 at apex, radiant axial, RCT 0.55. Laboratories and coronarography are normal. On ECG, we have sinus rhythm, frequency is 80 beats per minute. Here is echocardiography result. This is
this is after repair or before repair?
Yes, this is before
repair.
Repair. And here, this is a TEE echo. And in this view, we can see here the anterior commissure and here the posterior commissure. And for this mitral valve, yes, we look to the valve level. Here is a prolapse of the P2 segment, and this is the anterior leaflets. Yeah, this is a very clear prolapse of P2. The tissue of posterior leaflets is overriding the anterior leaflets during movement. With color, there's a jet of regurgitation obliquely to the septum. Here, and here is we have some fibro tissue on the P2. Yeah. The whole length of P2 is overriding the anterior leaflets. and the length of anterior leaflets. I will mention later. This is the quality for posterior leaflet at P2 is so elongated. Yes, this is a vena contractor, around 6. Yeah, we found also a rupture of corti at P2. We found a rupture of corti here. Yeah, this is AP diameter. Yeah, again, the annulus is 13.7.9, AML 27.6, posterior leaflets 25. The movement of the both valves are good, but for posterior leaflets, there's a prolapse at P2, and there's a flare, very clear prolapse at P2. For subvalvular apparatus, we have rupture of corti for posterior leaflet at P2 also. Left heart chamber were enlarged, oblique to the septum, vena contractor around 6. And we have also fusion of both commissure and some calcification node on both leaflets. So diagnosis for this patient is mitral regurgitation 4x4, type 2B2 by rupture of corti, and we have fusion of the commissures, heart function class 1.
All right, so this patient we did together, me and Dr. Chuan yesterday, and now we will show the video clip.
Before we show, okay, go ahead now. I think what happened was when we first started, we actually were told that this is degenerative. So when we went in, initially we thought cardiologist was telling us that there are some jet lesions on the anterior leaflet, and we think this is degenerative. We did not get the part about the commissural fusion. It's only when we open up then we realized that there is some fusion of the commissures. So I like to start off with this putting annular sutures. Next. Then as we look at the commissure, we realize that there's some fusion of the commissure. So in fact, initially we went in as a thought of degenerative only. But when you look at this leaflet, it's actually quite abnormal. And there's some induration of the leaflet here. And it's a little bit different from the degenerative valve cases. The edges were actually a bit diseased, and there's some ruptured cords which were at the edge. But we could not see any ruptured cord at the peppery muscle level. So anyway, Dr. Fan did a small commissurectomy. So this is actually a rheumatic case. And I did not get a history of the rheumatic fever early on as well.
So we call this is a type grade A commissural fusion, where because we see very clearly the commissural fusion line.
And here, as usual, to do this repair, we hook up the adjacent normal cords first. And if you look at this peppery muscle head, it's actually a little bit more fibrotic than the usual that you see in degenerative cases. So put a figure of 8 right there. And then here, another loop, figure of 8 stitch on the edge. And I think the whole margin here, which is not support, is about 1.5 to 2 centimeters. So we felt that probably 2 sets of cords should be placed. So one coming from this anterior peppery muscle, and the other one is coming from the posterior peppery muscle head. And here we measure again the annuloplasty. I think we decided to put a size 32.
So we changed at first we prepared to use PCO2, but this is a rheumatic case, so we used the VC ring, 32. Now the most important thing is how to adjust the length of the artificial cord.
I think we judge by the part which is normal, which is the P1 side. And here, after you place the valve in, you test it. And the first 2 knots, I used the surgeon knot, so that will allow will stop the knot from sliding in. And I think, in a sense, the way I judge it is really by vision. And I think over here, after the ring got in, we realized that there's a cleft between the P2 and P3, and this was repaired usually. And now you see a very nice part of the detail. And what you see here is that the surface that you see of the valve here actually is quite.
Hi, morning. We are in the room 1 with Dr. Choi come from Singapore. We just finished the first operation today on the B2 collapse with conservation of the posterior leaflet with the new port. So I'd like to ask Dr. Choi some question about this patient. So what do you think about this patient, the pathology, disability, or even the rheumatic valve or anything else?
I think it's quite interesting because when we first started, it looked quite, we thought it could be just a straightforward degenerative mitral valve problem. And I think that's where sometimes it's very difficult to differentiate. I think in this particular situation, initially we thought there's just a degenerative, but because especially for P2, the lesions were quite thicker and in fact we thought maybe we thought maybe there was some heel vegetations so the initial diagnosis was probably degenerative with a previous history of endocarditis. But when they open up, I think it's quite different because both the anterior and posterior leaflet are initially we thought the anterior leaflet could just be degeneration. I think you see that when you make that before. But when you look at the leaflet, there's a little concern about whether it is actually some pneumatic component. And I think that is really confirmed when you look at the condition. It's not usual condition.
Okay.
I think Dr. Fine must have seen a lot of this condition. You can see that this is actually partially fused.
Okay.
So I think in this particular situation, I feel that it's probably rheumatic start off.
But why you decide to reserve the posterior leaflet in this case, not this second?
Yeah, I think the reason we are trying to preserve as much tissue as possible is that quite often you actually have probably a bigger surface area for one patient. You also can usually put a bigger ring. I think that's either you are able to put a bigger ring. And even if you look at this particular situation, if you reset posterior leaflet is actually very like a big resection, you go to have a big gap.
I see.
And you end up with a small.
Okay, I do agree with Dr. Choi that we can reserve the leaflet, posterior leaflet, for both degenerative or rheumatic. It belongs to the quality of the valve tissue. So in this patient, we also have some slight fusion of the both fissure, and we are very decommissionatomy. You know, the orifice is already large, but we still need to do commissionatomy in this case just to increase the mobility of the valve. It's not just to open more the orifice. So the operation is very well done, and I think it's very good example for us, the technique we can select for the patient. Thank you very much for the journey.
Just one more point, especially the annuloplasty. I think it is a degenerative, quite often I think just use a lamp, alright? But I think in this particular situation it's clearly rheumatic, and I think we are concerned about the annulus. In fact, the posterior annulus part of it is a little harder than calcified part. So I think in this particular situation we are using a rigid ring because it is rheumatic.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, a very good video clip, right? Okay, Choi Yolin, I still have some concern on how to adjust the length of the active shock cord. As your method, you use the the surgeon, right? Surgeon knot.
Yeah.
This means that when you tie down, you already lock the knot.
Yes.
So if the active shock cord a little bit long or short, how can you modify it?
Actually, the decision how much to tie, I already did the adjustment by pulling on the adjacent normal part. You can do on the adjacent P1 and across the A1 as well. After you're done that adjustment, I push it down, and I use the saline to flush it to see how it looks like. And once I decided on where I'm going to tie the knot, so it's a visual thing. So I will look at the place I'm going to tie, and the first throw of the surgeon knot goes down, and I stop it exactly where I can see it. So I do not push it down beyond that. And then the second one, I will lock it. And then for this, for next suture, I will tie many knots. I usually tie about 15 to 20 knots.
Any other comment to just the length?
Yeah, I do agree with you that not tie a knot during before put the ring in. Because before we put the ring in and you measure everything already and you tie a knot, maybe some distortion there. And the technique to measure the length, we have another two techniques. The first technique that described by Andy Perret, that he performed the minimal invasive surgery. He put the 5-0 poly with TB at the tip of A1 and A2 and P2 and leave it. And at that point is a reference point. That is another technique. The other one, you put a trick, surgical trick, and you measure. But I do agree with you that tie a knot after we put the ring in already. Because if we tie a knot before we put the ring, and then the measure is changed, you have to do everything again.
All right, we can modify this technique. My technique different to you. I will talk later. Okay, now we will look at the echocardiography control after repair. Dr. Nguyen. So this is the coagulation after when we just stop the bypass. Okay, the next slide. Next slide. Cho cái tiếp em.
Yeah, the coagulation is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slide tiếp.
But I think that this looks like some tapering of secondary cord here. It's here. Look here. This looks like C-gown.
That's all. Oh, sorry. Maybe we. Yeah. So we almost have no leak, even very small leak centrally.
Yeah, it's go centrally, so it's not
Not harmful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And very
Okay. All right. Thank you, Yoning. And now we move to the next case. The next case should be more difficult to repair the combined mitral stenosis and mitral insufficiency. So this is the most frequent rheumatic valve we see here, and only the possibility of repair for this group of patients just around 60%. So Dr. Nguyen, can you show the case?
Yeah, the next patient combined mitral stenosis and mitral regurgitation. A female patient, she has 2 children. She lives in Ho Chi Minh City. The operation was October the 3rd. Her heart disease was known just last year, and then she followed up here regularly in this hospital. Since 11 years old, she got acute polyarthritis with 1 year follow-up. I can hear a pansystolic murmur 3/6, no syncope, no jaundice. On chest X-ray, RCT 0.55, still sinus rhythm, laboratories are normal. On echocardiography, TEE, we have annulus, is dilated. Anterior leaflet 27, posterior leaflet is normal, 17. But the movement of the both valve is so thickening and fibrosis. especially for posterior leaflet, is retracted. For quality, also hypertrophy for posterior and anterior leaflet, and both commissures are fusion. Left heart chambers are enlarged, good right ventricle. There's also an oblique jet with vena contractors 6.5, good pulmonary artery pressure, ejection fraction still good. So diagnosis for this patient is mitral regurgitation 4x4 type 3A and P.
So for this patient, we have a restricted motion for both anterior and posterior leaflet. So now we see. Now we watch the we watch the video clip. So this patient, we have a grade A. You see the fusion line very clear. Grade A of commissural fusion, right? Both commissural fusion. We have a very short corner, very short corner. Posterior leaflet is good. You see the high posterior leaflet more than 15. So we will open the anterior commissure. We start at the middle, and you see the commissure always go up. Be careful the cork of the neck, right? To avoid the commissural leak, I usually do, we call this is magic suture, just roll up the free S at the commissural area. Now we do papillary muscle splitting. So the incision should be about 10 mm of maximum 15 mm, no more. So this is a posterior commissure fusion. You see this is a fusion line. We call this is a grade A fusion commissure. We open lastly the posterior commissure, magic point to run up the commissural area, like in the anterior commissure. We mobilize the posterior leaflet by resection the secondary quoc. You see, we resect at least 10 to 12 secondary quoc of posterior leaflet. We start at P1, P2, P3. Reset some fibrous bridge between the papillary muscle. Now we do papillary muscle splitting for the anterior papillary muscle for the anterior leaflet. Reset some secondary quoc of the anterior leaflet. Then we do suture, ring suture. The anterior leaflet very good. We use the CG future ring number 30. So this is a CG future ring we test. So we have also very good results. So this is the sample to correct the combined mitral stenosis and mitral regurgitation. Okay, now I would like to show you another video clip also for combined mitral stenosis and mitral regurgitation. So we just show the video clip. No need to talk about this. All right, this is This patient is type 2A and 3B. So this patient we have a grade B commissural fusion. It means that we couldn't find out where is the fusion line. So this is more difficult. More difficult because we just estimate the fusion line, right? By moving the leaflet. You see, when we move the leaflet, I can recognize the fusion line right here. So we open the anterior commissure very slowly. Be careful not cut the cork of the neck, you see. We stop incision at 5 mm to the annulus. So the annulus is here. I stop my incision right here. And then magic point to run up the commissural area. So normally for this group of patients, feasibility of repair just around 50%. Now we open the posterior commissure. Also lastly, commissure open. Papillary muscle splitting, magic point for the posterior commissure. This patient, we have an A2 prolapse. A2 prolapse, this is a rheumatic case too. So this case, I decided to use artificial quoc. But before that, we need to resect the secondary quoc of the posterior leaflet first to mobilize the posterior leaflet. We resect a lot of secondary quoc. The basal quoc also resect. Now we correct the anterior prolapse, 2 pilot suture to localize the prolapse. Now I pass the neo quoc at the tip of papillary muscle 2 times, and then the needle we pass to the free edge So the distance between each cord should be about 5 mm. Then you see the 5 hole here. This is a reference point. I ask my assistant pull the reference point up, and then I tie the suture down. So with this, I can control my finger just enough to the same level to the reference point. Then we pass the suture part the needle to the ventricular. This patient, we can use the ring number 34. And this is a test after repair, before and after tie down the suture. Alright, so I just like to show you 2 different video clips on mitral valve repair for both regurgitation and stenosis. So any question or comment? Yes? Not work test. Not work test. So somebody said that we need to use the work test. But you know, Vietnam, sometimes we don't have the work test every day. So that one day, I didn't have a work test. So I tried with this, and this worked. And then I travel around the world. I asked somebody else, some other people, and some of them agree with me to do the same thing. So this person, I didn't use work test, but it's also good. How about your opinion?
I think we have mentioned this several times before. When I was undergoing training at Brompton Hospital in London, Derek Gibson, those of you who are echocardiographers will know who Derek Gibson is. He was one of the founders of echocardiography. And at that point in time, he said, it is no big deal for any surgeon to operate on a patient and discharge him from hospital. But it is a big deal to prevent the patient from coming back to you in the next 30 years for the same procedure. So you can put the suture in. That bench in vitro studies, for example, to show that those artificial cords will last 30 years. I asked the question of contact and they told me yes, but I've not seen it.
Alright, James? What do we close some feet down?
I echo what Paul has mentioned. For example, you mentioned about the resection of the mitral valve. The results are so good, the most incomparable. And now we're using Cortex. And maybe alright if you use it selectively, it's not excessively. But you use it as a routine. There have been reports of Cortex calcified after 5 years, 6 years or so. And also the problems with Cortex. I don't know what the experience of the years like Cortex. And you have calcified with the injection shortening, competent mitral.
Okay. So, God test or not God test, is it belong to the quality of the suture or belong to your habit to use? I don't know.
In addicts, Cortex for about 20 years, and the Japanese have introduced Cortex for mitral and tricuspid valve repair about 20 years ago. We had very long-term follow-up, and when you do reoperate on valves that have Cortex cord, the aspect of the cord is very good. You don't see the Cortex itself most of the time. It has been in some cases, in some fibrosis, but it's not exuberant, it's not very large and relatively thin and pliable. So I don't know why we started using Cortex, but the fact is that we have now very long-term data and very little reason to change.
All right. Any comment or question? Okay. I think it's very interesting discussion on that. Okay. Now we move to the next case. Now we will tell you another story. not only mitral valve repair, but this patient combined mitral valve repair with AF. So now it's already become a standard of care. When we repair the mitral valve with AF patient, we need to do both procedure at the same operation. So for this patient, I would like to, Dr. Chusak already here. Okay, so I did this patient with Dr. Chusak yesterday. We combine mitral valve repair and and with AF procedure. Today we have two cases. I would like to show you Dr. Chusak will do AF May procedure just with monopolar, right? And the other patient we do with combo, bipolar and monopolar. Okay, I just ask you a question. Do you need to view the case presentation like this, or we go directly to the video clip? Is it okay? We go directly to the video clip? Okay, thank you, Dr. Nghia. Okay, so the video clip, please. So, of course, we have AF, right? You see? Your video. Okay, so this is also a rheumatic valve. Okay, Chusak?
Yeah, in this case, I start with the reduction technique. Look at here, is a reduction technique. And look at the incision here, that I cut at the posterior wall of the levator. The technique is introduced by Steve Boring from University of Michigan, and then a circumferential ablation of the left pulmonary vein followed by around the appendage. In the past, I cut the appendage from the outside and then I suture, cut and saw, but nowadays I change my technique. I circumferential ablation around the appendage, and after that I suture from inside. Why? Because I feel more happy that when I suture from inside, it's no pulse in the left atrial appendage. Otherwise, some paper say that when we finish suture, when we follow up by echocardiography, it's still some flow inside the appendage. However, I think that it doesn't matter because it's smooth surface. So even they have some clots inside the appendage, the clot not come outside.
All right, now Chusak, now my turn already. Yeah, Dr. Chusak did monopolar, and now I repair the valve. Now we do the ring suture. So for monopolar technique, he starts with the left side first. I repair the valve, and when I finish the repair, he go back with the right side. So this patient, we also need to open the commissure. You see, we have both commissure fusion, magic point as usual. You see, we have a not very long cork, right? Magic point just to avoid the commissural leak. Tie down the suture. Posterior commissurotomy, the same thing. Okay. Now papillomuscular splitting. Be careful when we inside papillomuscular, not go so far. Right? Now we resect the secondary cord. For type 3 disease, the most important thing is mobilize the leaflet by resection secondary cord. So we can resect many possible secondary cord, even the basal cord. You see, we go step by step from P1, P2, P3, and then we go to the anterior leaflet. So we reset the secondary cord of anterior leaflet. Also A1, A2, and A3. Now ring. This patient we use we use rigid ring, 30 Carpentier rigid ring. Slide the ring down. We close the indentation between the P2 and P3. We test. So I feel happy with the repair. And then Dr. Chusat go back for the main procedure for the right side. Chusat, please.
Yeah, I do for the right side, and it's sometimes difficult from the operating view, and we show you later by the map that after finish the video. Here I do from the SVC line, MVC line, and from 9 o'clock of the dicasis and annulus to up to the appendage, and then allow the appendage. In the past, also I cut the appendage, but now I don't cut the appendage because I think that for the right side, even though they have some clot inside, it doesn't matter to do harm to the patient. So nowadays I just abrade outside the appendage, and most of the case I perform the right side under beating arm, and I do this ablation line during the walk to save the time, and this ablation line from 1 or 2 o'clock of dicasis annulus up to the procedure.
All right, how about your comment? It's up to you. About. Okay, good. Any question?
Yeah, this case I reduce the size of the deviation because the size of the deviation is 62 millimeters, so it's big, and
okay.
we do not reduce the resolution.
But when I saw you resect, it's just small piece of left atrium.
Even
Is it
though,
really efficacious?
yeah,
You know.
yeah. Even though you cut maybe 1 or 1.5 centimeter wide, and when you saw that, another each part at least 5 millimeter on each side. It means that you reduce the size at least 2 or 2.5 centimeters.
Okay. So do you have any complication of the bleeding or something?
Yeah, I have. Because I have 2 cases that bleeding from the back of the arm. So
how do you control that?
yeah, how can I fix it?
How do you fix it?
My first case, I think for a while, and then if I open the left side again, anything can correct me that. I suture the second time better than the first time. So I fix my problem with this technique. I not open at the left side, but I give the cardioplegia. Oh, why it's not working?
You mean the video or
no.
This is the video or this is
The slide.
the slide?
Second slide.
Second slide. Move to second.
Yeah, this one. I clamp the aorta and I open the right side, not open the left side, because the most weak point is here at the orifice of right inferior pulmonary vein is a paper thin. So we open the right side and we open the center. Is in front of your eye. And I have 2 cases, my experience, and I fix the problem with this technique. And,
Okay, what maximum size of the left atrium you decide to do May procedure with your resection technique?
You mean the size?
The size of left atrium.
Yeah.
Before reduce.
Yeah. For my study, I finalized that if the left atrium size smaller than 50 mil, unnecessary to reduce. In between 50 to 60, I reduce at the posterior wall. And more than 60, I reduce both posterior wall and lateral wall. Aggressive reduction. I will show you for my lecture later.
So what is maximum size of left atrium you?
Yeah, maximum size. My study, my cut point about 70.
70?
Yeah. If bigger than 70, the long term, even though you try with effort, the result not good. And when it's big, what does it mean? When it's big, it's thin. Bigger is thinner. So useless to do if more than 75.
All right, very interesting. So if we don't have any comment, we move to the last patient. The last patient, I did surgery with the Chain 1. Chain, you come here, please. All right. We also combine both technique microvalve repair and AF May procedure. But this patient, we use the combo. It means that combine monopolar and bipolar. So please show the video clip, please.
Show the angiogram, 2 seconds.
Angiogram. Oh, okay.
So the point, before I start the procedure, I ask for a coronary angiogram. I always ask for a coronary angiogram in all cases, especially if you want to use the bipolar and unipolar. And I'll tell you the reason why. They show the angiogram. 2 seconds. And then.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Show. See the circumflex artery. It's away from the AB groove. So I was very glad that there is a big circumflex artery is away from the AB groove. Because if you know that if it's a wrong AB groove, you do a bipolar, you can burn up the circumflex artery, you end up with a big posterior lateral infarct. And you can get ejection fraction drop from about 60-something% to about 10 to 50%. So this you can see that the circumflex artery is away from the AB groove. It's not a C, it's a slide. So I was very happy with this. And I check it with one fan during the thing, you can see the circumflex artery is really away from the AB groove. So I'm very happy. I can use unipolar, bipolar, all the way up to the AB groove. Okay, so we show
video.
Video.
You video them.
Video. Only. And I have a similar case very away from.
Okay, so how how much this angle for you acceptable between LAD and the circumflex? You mean the circumflex sometimes go down here?
Yes, what you worry about is that part circumflex come like that. Huge one, huge one.
Okay.
Small one, I'm not worried about it. Sometimes they have big one and then smaller ones are not so worried. What you worry about is something as big as this come around this sort of port. And you have to check it when you open the heart and lift it up and you confirm. I think this case was confirmed when you saw it. This thing was way from the AV group.
Okay.
No problem start going to the AV group by the
Right. So for the combo technique, Dr. James Wong did the main procedure first, and I repair the valve after. Okay, go ahead.
About 17 minutes of operation time. The machine tells you how long you're operating.
Okay.
So it's counter body incision that made. Okay. Then I do the SBC. Then IBC, you can see a nice line, right? No collateral damage. It's a very nice line. You do a bipolar. And you know that it's transparent. There's a lot of signs on it, and it shows that they are transparent. Small body incision, body line block, prevent. You can see the line. Everyone that I did, I show you the line. The very line, very firm line. You see that? The unipolar, only unipolar used on the right side, which is the big part, is to do. It's those line going with the annulus. Then you're going to use bipolar because they're folded against the vertical. And you may clear on the right corner between the slits. They use unipolar. See, unipolar, the burns are much wider. And you're very careful because wider means more muscle attack. This data line that comes from the counting body incision that goes to the annulus, the tricuspid, that will be It's the only two lines of block that I use. This all I'm doing is a complete Cox maze form. All right, I don't put a line to the coronary sinus. All right, we rest the heart now and trying to do a bipolar. Put a tape around the pulmonary vein and put a bipolar around the body, the left atrium, not the pulmonary vein, so prevent stenosis. And I do it 3 times. I don't believe the machine algorithm. I just do it 3 times. You can see a nice line, no collateral damage. Atrial appendage, I always remove it as part of the Cox maze procedure. For various reasons, circuit can occur in the atrial appendage and also prevent thrombosis if you fail. And it's been shown that it's equally as good. Now, we open the left atrium, I'm doing the inferior line, boxing the lesion. See the nice line that's created? With very focused line and superior line to box the lesion. I'm sure Sujai will mention to tell you that. Let's look at that. And this is the mitral isthmus line, which is up to here with bipolar, and left I complete with the unipolar. This only unipolar I use for the left side. And during the time I give cardioplegia, just in case if the circumflex artery nearby. Although I know there's no nearby, I can see that. It's all done. I think.
All right. Now we repair the valve. So this is first of all we also do the ring suture. Also this is the rheumatic case. So sometimes for the small left atrium, I prefer to do ring suture first before the valve repair. With this, we can have a better exposure of the mitral valve. All right, now. So this patient, we have the P3 prolapse by the ancient endocarditis. You can see we have a small hole here. I did a triangular resection, very small triangular resection. So this is adjacent to the posterior commissure, so it's type 3. Then we just close the leaflet with a running 5/0 suture. tear down the suture. And then we select the ring. In this case, we use the Physio 2 32 ring. Slide ring down. And now we test. Okay, the result is good.
Microbiome and the main procedure. So this is a degenerative microbiome visitation with the A3 collapse by perforation of the anterior ligament, mainly due to endocardinitis in the past. So the technique for microbiome repair, we did a small triangular section of A3, and then we put the ring number 32, Physio 2 ring. So the question here is what technique for main procedure should do for this patient. So the Jim Wong will tell us about the technique he did for this patient. Jim, what technique you really do for this patient? Is it the real Cox operation or?
This is a traditional Cox-based 4 operation. The patient using bipolar radio frequency and unipolar radio frequency hearing aid electronic devices. And what I feel that patient has chronic AF and large left atrium, and I think the most evidence will favor the Cox-based 4 procedure for this operation. And I don't believe in doing others like just isolated coronary isolation. And I don't believe in doing a modified maze and doing a flutter line for the coronary sinus. I think we should stick to the traditional Cox-based procedure to achieve the best result. Most evidence in the world are of Cox-based, and so that doing any other procedure will just confuse the whole entire issue.
So we have a different technique for main procedure, monopolar, bipolar, or we combine both mono and bipolar together. So which technique you prefer the most?
Yes, you can see the operation that's going to be shown. It's actually when they talk about Cox-based, it's actually a combination of Cox-based string and ablation. All right. In fact, you can see in my operation that almost 60% is actually cut and sewn, and about maybe 55% ablation, and maybe 2 or 3% using the unipolar for the mitral for the isthmus line. Okay.
Of course, I think we have still have some controversial discussion on the technique we use for main procedure, and I think this is also a very good topic to discuss. I think so. Okay, see you tomorrow. Yes.
All right, Jen. Now your command.
Very hard to say. I think in Asia, I'll tell you how we started. I think I started doing the Cox, I'm talking about surgical ablation AF in about 2000, 2001. And after making a couple of trips to Holland and so on. And Dr. Housey is very good friend of mine. Nothing against him. He came down and was a proctor for Medtronic and taught us a modified maze pattern. And this modified maze pattern actually is quite different, and involves the coronary sinus lead. It's not part of the Cox maze. And I was using it, and a lot of surgeons actually in Singapore, Malaysia, and in Thailand, so using it and so on. Until I think I was using it until the year 2010 when Cox wrote this article about, I think it's a very nice article that says the confusion about the treatment of surgical AF. And he blasted us, for putting the coronary sinus lesion. Because he feel that if you combine the Cox maze with the coronary sinus lesion, you actually isolated, you can see a diagram, isolated the whole of the lower part of the right atrium. Now what happened when you do that? He said when you do that, if for some reason your pacemaker failed up there, there's nothing driving the AV node, because because the lower part, the right atrium, which has their own pacemaker, will be normally driving it. When you isolate, you will not be driving the AV node. And if you don't do that, and if it doesn't do that, they can get the AV blocked and all sorts of things and so on. So I think, so I quickly switched back to Ted Damiano come up with the Cox-Maze 4, and I followed faithfully the Cox-Maze 4. I think electrophysiologically is well tested, is scientifically tested. I've been to their lab, I was trained under them, and saw the way they do all the science. So that is the best evidence base. And most of the, you look at it now, there are very few, maybe 2 or 3 actually long-term studies of treatment of concomitant AF in the world. And those 2 papers that came out are, they are the disciples of Cox-Maze, Damiano and Nidhead. And they come out with a result, 5-year result. 5-year result of almost 80% of all anti-arrhythmic drugs, 80% success rate for this difficult group of chronic AF. They didn't say that they know everything yet, but they get about 80%. And well, what about other people? Why don't they have that sort of result? Maybe they don't have that sort of result, they're not publishing it. And to notify the success and failure, they do a lot of continuous monitoring, real monitoring to see, make sure that they are truly out of AF, of anti-arrhythmic drug, no anti-arrhythmic. That's what the thing is very important.
Okay, Jim and Chusak, the last AATS Baltimore, I attended the session of AF surgery with Damiano and Nidhead. He collected the data of more than 400 studies in the US and said that the percentage of pacemaker, almost 20%, the first thing. Number 2, 40% of American surgeons use just monopolar device. And the conclusion is that they don't recommend the monopolar technique because the long-term still question. What do you think about that? 2 things: monopolar result, and then the pacemaker. Here I perform myself more than 80 cases now. I just have 1 patient with pacemaker problem only. So how about your experience?
In my experience, for pacemaker, just only 3%. And another point that you have to look, when we finish the operation with my technique, even though the AF disappear in more than 90% when we finish the operation. However, immediately after operation, 50% sudden rhythm, another 50% nodal rhythm, and then nodal rhythm gradually decrease until at 1 year about 5%. And if you high expectation that turn everything to sudden rhythm, turn nodal to sudden rhythm, and you put the atrial pacemaker to the patient in this room. Some hospital, some paper, they put the pacemaker before the patient discharged from the hospital. It means that about less than 1 month after the operation, in my study, at that point, nodal rhythm about 20% of the non-AF. So you can wait until 1 year, and incidence of pacemaker decrease just only 5% if you expect to turn for nodal rhythm. 1 point. Another point that I differ for James, that I never perform pre-operative CAT, but when I do the composite, I have also have history of composite. When I apply the clamp, I look carefully that any coronary artery between the cross or not. The 1 point. The second point, I'm afraid of right coronary injury more than circumflex injury because I have 2 cases that the patient passed away because of the right coronary infarction. The first case for the monopolar at the 2 o'clock of the diastolic annulus up to the incision that across the right coronary and right ventricular branch of the right coronary, and the patient passed away and proved by autopsy, proved that the massive right ventricular infarction. And another case, I have the I use bipolar and the same as James performed, but the James you at 9 o'clock you use monopolar, right? 9 o'clock of dichotomy. Yeah. In that case, I use bipolar, but I use some anomaly of the ripole. So nowadays, when I use bipolar, I apply, look again and again, that make sure no ripole artery between the crop. I'm afraid of the ripole more than the artery.
All right. Well, I think we should stop here because already too late. Thank you very much, all of the speakers.
For the Cox-Smith procedure, I think that we know already that Professor James Cox, he is a pioneer in Cox-Smith procedure. However, because of the complexity of the operation, so nowadays very few surgeons maintain to perform cut and saw technique. And look at his result; it's very impressive. 97% at 15 years. What about other centers? Look at here, it's a result of Mayo Clinic at 10 years, about 60%. Which one is correct? I try to review another paper, most of the paper, about 80% at 1 to 5 years. And one point that influence to the result of the technique of the result of the mesh procedure is about the size of the lepetium. When I review for many papers and mostly mention the magic number as 6 centimeters of diameter of lepetium is a cut point. This paper from Japan by Dr. Kosakai, look at here, when the lepetium size is bigger until more than 90 millimeter, the success rate 0. And what about 80? Success rate about 50%. And more than between 70 to 79, success rate a little bit more than 50%. The Miano also reviewed the lepetium size. When it's bigger, the success rate drops. This paper published in 2005, and he mentioned at the midterm follow-up. However, I think that follow-up just 8 months is early result, not midterm result. And look at here, when the bigger than 60 mil, the success rate compared to smaller than 60 mil, different significantly. What about meta-analysis published in 2011? And one paper for my friend, Sushat Chailot, you are here. And from this meta-analysis, they analyze and they conclude from their study that the cut point of the size of the lepetium that influence to the result is 60 mil. And how to manage the giant lepetium. This paper from Komeda from Japan, his technique is a circumferential at around the posterior mitral annulus, and then around the plicated area, he used a cryoablation. So it means that he plication plus cryoablation, and his result very impressive, more than 90%. Another paper from China, and similar technique, plication, look at the result. Preoperatively, bigger than 75 and smaller than 75. Look at the result at 1 year, the size, similar size, because both groups reduce the size. However, look at the result. AF freedom in this group, smaller than 75, 90%. And if bigger than 75, the freedom just only 58%. What difference between this paper and Komeda paper? I look at the detail of this paper. This paper, he just titration, but not ablation, with either cryoablation or RF ablation. So it means that when you do the ablation, you have to add the, when you do the plication, you have to add ablation to the plicated area. And this is meta-analysis, again published in 2011. The they conclude from the study that the patient when enlarged bigger than 55 mil, left atrium, if you do just only standard maze alone, maybe not enough. And he mentioned that one paper reported that no benefit, even though you reduce the size when the left atrium size bigger than 70 mil. So my technique of reduction, I follow Steve Boring from University of Michigan. He cut at the posterior wall, and the question that one fan asked me, when we cut it, it looks like maybe 1 or 1.5 centimeter here, but when you saw back, another, at least on each side, another 5 millimeter. It means that you reduce the size about 2.5 to 3 centimeter. And how deep? It depends on your heart. And I modify the technique. I cut at the lateral wall when it's bigger than 60 mil. So it means that when I reduce the size, I almost always cut at the posterior wall, and some case I cut at the lateral wall. This is my technique. I use the cautery to interatrial septum. I make incision here. I cut the lateral wall, and for the posterior wall, I use the cautery. And when I finish the mitral valve procedure, I suture back. I recommend to suture double layer, and the weak point is here. Look at here, it's a paper thin. So the trick, you keep this tissue far away from the right inferior pulmonary vein first. The second one, the assistance is very important when follow the stick, not jerky, very steady. The third one, if you have the question that is not secure, fix it before you close the whole left atrium. From 2004 up to last month, in my unit, we have done maze operation, nearly 1,300 cases. We have variety of the technique, depend on the surgeon, and approaching 60% associated with mitral valve repair. That what does it mean? It means that the patient get the best benefit when we successfully repair valve and a surgery. And in my starting group, in the 345 cases, my inclusion criteria is functional cause and ejection fraction, not too bad, permanent of narrow AF, more than 6 months, associated with mitral valve disease, medical document, not too long history of AF. Why? Because for Thai patient, we cannot believe the history of AF from the patient. We just only believe that the medical document, someone never feel palpitation at all. But in that equation, when we ask the patient how long you take warfarin, that is the indirect equation that we can get information from the patient. The left atrium size smaller than 70 mil. First time open heart surgery because most of the case I reduce the size. And left atrium wall, no calcium. Majority patients are female, underlying disease are rheumatic in 2/3, and valve replacement about 50%, valve repair 50%, additional procedure like valve repair nearly 30%, and the 9% no left atrium reduction. 20% reduced at posterior wall, and we follow up at 6 months the left atrium size from 55 down to 46, and the majority group is 71%, both lateral and posterior wall reduction, and the left atrium size from 56 to 40 mil. Extra time longer than James because we take the long time to meticulous suture when we saw suture bad, and extra beating time for the right side. We have 6 hospital mortality, 2 cases that I mentioned already that related directly to the procedure, RCA injury, and the patient passed away. and we have another 6 30-day mortality, cause of death, 4 cardiac tamponade, and 1 stroke, and 2 other causes. Look at the result at 10 years, 5 year freedom from AF, 82%, at 1 year, 90%, 7 years, it's got to 81%, at 10 years, 45%. Look again at the result, Mayo Clinic cut and saw at 10 years is roughly about 60%. So if anyone asks me, am I happy or not for this result, I think that I'm happy because comparable to cut and saw technique with more simple technique. The risk factor that I analyze is the first thing, it is the size of the lymphatium preoperatively bigger than 60 mil. The second thing, post-operative bigger than 50 mil, because most of the case I reduce the size. So the technique of reduction, no significant. However, look at when the lymphatium size bigger than 60 mil, the result at 10 years much different when you aggressive reduction and just a posterior reduction. At 5 years, between 35 compared to 81%. Look at again the mean posterior size when we reduce at the posterior from 65 down to 51, and if you aggressive reduction is from 64 down to 45. Remember the number of 50 post-operatively. So it means that I set the policy when the lymphatium size smaller than 50 unnecessary to reduce. Between 50 to 60 you reduce at posterior. Bigger than 60 you have to aggressive reduction posterior and lateral. And multivariate analysis, I found that the factor that influence the result, the first thing, AF on day 7, the second thing, lymphatium size post-operatively bigger than 50 mil, preoperative size no significant when multivariated. So for my study, I can conclude that surgery for AF is we can get benefit added to other cardiac surgery. Alternative energy sources are more simple than classical cut and saw mesh. Preoperative lymphatium size bigger than 60 mil, post-op lymphatium size bigger than 50 mil, technique of reduction in big lymphatium and rhythm on day 7 are factor influence result the treatment. And this picture I took 2 years ago. I came to Ho Chi Minh City and it's a wet lab in UMC. Look at more than 10 young Vietnamese doctors gathered together to look at my wet lab. I think that is a good sign for Vietnamese young doctor because you eager to learn the technique. And then finally, I would like to thank for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the time. It's a nice series. My colleague Yao Ling from Singapore will talk about his experience on concluding 15 years experience. You ask questions later.